Hi everyone, this video will be about coherent and cohesive writing. Now I will explain what coherency and cohesion, what that means. I will go in depth on the definitions, but I will also give you some useful files and useful tips on how to create more coherency and cohesion in your papers. Now, very broadly speaking, what is cohesion and what is coherency? Cohesion is about the connection of ideas at a sentence level, so focus on grammar mainly. So just to make sure that all words, like all sentences are grammatically correct, that they follow up in a grammatically correct way. So yeah, basically that it focuses on the grammar and the syntax. Well, coherency is really about connecting like the ideas of a paper, so that everything follows up logically on each other. So yeah, cohesion is focusing on correct grammar, correct use of language, while coherency is more about the correct way of expressing your ideas and expressing, just having a proper structure basically. So this part I already mentioned in one of the previous videos. Just to go through it again briefly. So one of the ways to also create coherency, cohesion, is to just focus that every single sentence should give information. It should be explicit, should be short as possible, and it should be to the point. If you want more information about that, look at the previous video. There was no lesson one, but like a recap from what I discussed previously. Like some tips based on the APA is that you should use the simple form. So instead of using like the past perfect, you can use the past simple. When explaining a result has been executed, past tense, and when talking about general ideas, conclusions, then you would use the present tense. Don't use the I, we, us, keep it neutral, third person. No synonyms, stay consistent in terms. And when making comparisons, always completely write it out. Also, do keep in mind the spelling, use punctuation marks, try to keep it brief, bad translation, etc, etc. I went in depth on that on the previous video. But in paragraphs, I discussed this in the previous video as well. Like there are two ways of writing, like statement first or statement in the end. So like what you could do is like plants do in fact grow faster when being exposed to classical music, and then recent research has shown that. Then you give like sources to back up your argument. But then you can also do argumentation first, then statement. So I wrote here an example. However, not everything can be traced down to Piaget's theory. Blah, blah, blah. So this, you already see like this word however. We'll go in depth on that later in this video, because this is one of the words that you can use to create more coherency in your paper. And then in this example you would end out like this means that young students do in fact make use of inner speech when facing challenges. So this is basically the statement of, or the idea of that paragraph. But yeah, how to link these paragraphs and alineas. Why do that in the first place? It just makes it also very easy to read. It gives more structure and a great opening sentence, easier to start writing with. So here I will discuss conjunctions, like different kinds of conjunctions that you can use, some transitional words, prepositions, and some synonyms, antonyms that you could maybe also use, even though I don't recommend using synonyms at all. There are still some tools that you can use. So link you should check while reading the next slides. Well, I'll click on it for now, and then you can see how I'll put this file online. I already put it ready there. So here you have all these different kind of words that you can use throughout your paper. I'll put the links on Facebook. But here you have like transition words. You have like that you can use to make your paper more fluent. There's just many words, conjunctions. Here when you discuss time, or like you can see all these subcategories that you could use to go through, and it's a great tool to use when writing your papers. So let's go back. So coordinating conjunctions are really like many of you already use them. So it's like this word like and, but, for, nor, or so. So like these very small words that really sort of connect different kind of sentences or connect different kind of messages to each other. Do keep an eye on the comma after the word when using. So subordinating conjunctions really go in depth on like concessions, conditions, comparisons, time, reason, adjectives, etc. But these are very easy to use or like very nice to use to connect different kind of sentences as well. So you would have, for example, with the concession, so you would the word although is very nice because then you can have one research saying okay, the general idea is that da la 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 la, although some research might indicate that this is not entirely true or not entirely applicable to all settings. And with those kind of words you can really make a text more smooth. Also with correlative conjunctions, this is really like using. This is what you really use when you describe connections to each other, or so. For example, as, as, or either, or not only but also. With conjunctive adverbs, like these are extremely helpful when you think you repeat your use of words too often when connecting clauses. So there are also three types, similar to and, also besides, furthermore, likewise, moreover, similar to but, however, nevertheless, nonetheless, similar to so, accordingly, consequently, hence, meanwhile. And these I really recommend when you write your paper, because it really connects everything to each other and makes it very nice to read, and it just creates, it both has a great effect on both cohesion and coherency of your paper. So yeah, if you're also looking for more synonyms, then you should go to thesaurus.com. But then again, sometimes it happens that there's a word that's not exactly the same, but overall the same. So for example, effect and the word influence. It can have slightly different meaning, because effect is really like the effect one thing has on the other, while influence might also, it really depends on the context you will be using it as well. So do think it through whenever you use a synonym. With transitional words, I will show them as well, like the linking words. So these you could use as well. I will put the link on Facebook, and transitional words, agreement, addition. So here you have all these things that you can use as well. When, for example, addition, similarity, in contrast, otherwise, conversely. Just have a look at that to get an idea, and it might really help you in your when writing your paper. Let's go back. So these are really amazing, and prepositions, like these are also important to read through. It's easy to make a mistake in this area, especially if you're not a native speaker. Prepositions are, for example, under, over, between, on, at, etc. I'll show this as well. Here. So like with these prepositions, like for a native speaker, it might feel natural to have certain prepositions following up or going before for a verb, but not for everyone. Personally, I I'll probably always encounter difficulties with it. But here you see like all the kinds of verbs that you can use, and then with the correct preposition. So adjust to, for example, approve of, or be accustomed to, base on. So it's good to, whenever you use verbs, that you just have a little check at if the correct preposition is used, because it just, you have to limit your grammatical mistakes as much as possible in your paper. Depending on your assignment or your paper, there might even be a maximum amount of mistakes that you are allowed to make on your paper. So please go through that. Let's go back. Does this work like that directly? Yeah. And yeah, with synonyms, like I mentioned it before, try to limit the amount of synonyms, but if you want to use some synonyms, then check thesaurus.com. Yeah, so also antonyms like have the exact opposite maybe. Yeah, have a look at that. That's about it. I hope this video helped, and have a look at the links. They might really help you a lot, and thanks for watching.